This plant here, it's called a grass tree, or also known as a black boy. If you want to come a bit closer, I'll show you the edible part of the plant. See this white part? You can easily pull those out, and just like the remainder, they've got a white carbohydrate starchy tip. You can eat those and they taste similar to peas or cabbage. They've got vitamin C and carbohydrates. Very good source of carbohydrates. Also, the grass tree has quite a long stem. The Aboriginals often use these for making spears, and a couple of the other uses of this tree. When they're bigger, they've got a trunk, and the sap of the tree can be mixed with ash and grass and be formed to create this plant here called a Cape gooseberry. And see that little fruit just there? Inside that is a little orange fruit. That's just like a sheath, like a shell, but inside of it is a little orange fruit. This is a male brown huntsman spider, and when you're in the bush, you want to take any opportunity you can to eat food. Sometimes the food isn't the nicest when you've got nothing there or you're surviving, but you just gotta let all your fears go and do whatever it takes to survive. So I'm gonna eat this. It's not actually too bad. It tastes like peanuts, but just not a very nice feeling. But it's very high in protein and worth doing if you've got no other food. This is a wolf spider, and I'm on a survival trip at the moment. I didn't bring any food, so I've got some grass tree stems high in carbohydrates and fibre, and we're going to go fishing. And I had some berries from a plant called the devil's twine plant. I've already eaten a spider, and I found a macadamia nut, and now I've got a wolf spider. As you can see, it's a spider. I'm just going to pop it in. I had a St. Andrew's cross spider before. That tasted really bitter. Ugh. Oh, that was the worst spider I've ever eaten. I've got to put it down. Got to put it back in and eat it. Oh, that was way worse than the huntsman, but at least I ate it. Gotta get some water in me. Oh. The huntsman I had the other day tasted just like peanuts, so it wasn't that bad. This was smaller, but it just had this really bitter taste. But yeah, at least I got a bit of protein in me. Okay, this is grass tree stems, the leaves from it, and they're a white, fibrous, high carbohydrate vegetable. Sometimes they can be a bit tough. You can eat them raw, but sometimes they can be a bit fibrous and tough. But if you cook them, they're a lot nicer, and they're nice and warm to eat, and they're easier to chew. So I'm just cooking these at the moment, boiling them in the saucepan. This is a bait trap, and it's a very good and effective object and tool to use when you're trying to survive out in the wilderness, when you're near lakes or creeks like this area just here. And you can use a big variety of baits with it. I'm using some bread, but you can also, if you've got no bait or no food, you can use like bread, or you can even dig up like worms and insects and grubs. Even if you're lost and you've got one of these and you're near a creek or a river or a lake, you can catch little fish and yabbies and shrimp. You can also use some of your leftover food if you've got any in your pack, because like a little bit of bread or meat you got in your pack is worth it, because the amount of food you can catch a fish, because you can leave the bit of bait in there for ages, like days, until you catch stuff. So I'm at this lake now. I'm just going to place this trap in. I'm going to tie the end string to the end, and later we'll come back and I'll show you if I get anything. And I'll eat some of it raw, and I'll cook up some of it. So I'll just throw this in, hit a lily pad, tie it to the tree. I've just caught some tiny little bait fish with the trap. Not many, but I've got a few mosquito fish. I've eaten them before raw, but I'll show you me eating a couple raw, but it tastes a bit better if they're cooked. I'll grab a couple out for you. You can see, little mosquito fish. I ate one raw. See, I just swallowed it. Didn't taste anything. Just a bit of protein like that. And there's a fire I'm going to cook with. And I've got some butter. This time I can actually chew them while they taste nice. They're tiny, they're so small so you can eat the bones. But, spread a bit of the butter so they don't stick. Put my hands on the paper bark and put them on. Actually, I'll probably put them on once the pan gets hot. So let's put it on. Just there. Let's get the little fish. Put them on. Yeah, I've just cooked the fish and they've gone really nice and crispy. And I'll just taste one. See the little fish? It's like deep fried in the butter. And yeah, I'll have a go. I haven't had them before, so I'll have a go what it tastes like. It tastes just like pork crackling. Just like it. It's amazing. But just imagine, I only left the trap in for about 40 minutes, but imagine what I'd get if I left it in overnight. I have a big feast of fish that tastes like pork crackling. And what's also good about warm food and good tasting food is it brings out endorphins, which make you happier. Like, you know, it's very important when you're in the wild, especially if you're lost, to keep your spirits up and to feel happy. And when you're happy, you'd make the right choices. So this has made me happy. I'm not lost in the wild or anything, but it's nice being out here with some nice tasting food that I've caught myself.